Okay, Virgo. This is your part two for July and August 2019. A little mugwort. I've already, done my blessing of the space. I've burned sage, Palo Santo, mugwort. Okay, we do remember your part one, right? And I still have that spread laid out, and right in front of me is the next one, right, for August or for July. Use it for whichever months you feel like it applies for, right? You can always come back and listen again. It's for Sun, Moon, and Rising, and as you know, I use a lot of, I put a lot of um, energy into the rising when I do my readings because that is the first house. So when I talk about houses, I talk about it from the rising. But you can use it as from your sun sign as well, okay, and your moon if you would like. Okay, so this is for Virgo, sun, moon, and rising, and also if you have sun in sixth house. Okay. Hi. I'm sorry, I missed that. Say that again. Welcome everybody. Oh, don't forget to take advantage of the 20 for 20 summer sale, which is 20 minutes for $20. You can email me at providencetarotkendrick@gmail.com to take advantage of that, okay? And it's first come, first served, so I put the list, and then I just go down the list, okay? So yeah, the last spread that you had a bunch of court cards in it. The Queen of Wands, which is a really great, savvy, minded person who is able to get a lot of things done because they are aware of their capabilities. So you're aware of what you're able to do, and you're able to really put some intention into what you would like to manifest because you know what you're capable of, right? Um, there's also some hidden things as we talked about with Mercury being at 4 degrees and maybe a little bit, it's station retrograde right now in Leo, which is your 12th house, which is talking about things that are hidden, things to be revealed. There are some secrets possibly, or there might even just be some blockages, some places where you might be feeling like you surrendered or where you may be feeling like you made some sacrifices. But it's okay. Sacrifices need to be made sometimes in order to. I need to look at the screen, okay, because I'm just kind of going. But sacrifices need to be made sometimes in order for you to get to where you need to go. You know what I mean? It's kind of like when you're headed on a path and then that path has to change course because you run into an obstacle or you have to adapt to the obstacle and build something. You know what I mean? Use your creative wills to build a bridge to kind of like make the connection so that you can get to where you're going because of the determination. And the Queen of Wands is determined, right? But also you have some truths, right? Some great truths that you are understanding to be a part of life here with the King of Swords being in the center of the reading. And the King of Swords is fixed, right? And that's talking about being very focused. I was talking about intention as well. Very focused with your mind on something, a purpose, right? And it's talking about, I'm getting inactive participation, but it's actually quite active, because the King of Swords is actually double air, and air can move quickly, you know what I mean? Air is also very, because air is able to change its concepts and its perceptions of things, then it's able to kind of like be very malleable, right? Diverse, right? Because the King of Swords understands a thing or two about diversity, right? In all aspects, in all areas of life. So I feel like with you just really thinking about how diverse you are and putting a lot of great focus and attention onto that which makes you different, then I feel like you won't be challenged by, the authority, or you won't be challenged by, uh, you know, uh, people that see you kind of like fall under the pressure. Also, this King of Swords person could just be you dealing with the truth of a situation that you know about the King of Wands that's crossing you. That's the challenge. And in the past position, in comparison to that, you have another Wands card, which is the Three of Wands, and that is Sun and Aries, okay? And that's talking about, the sun is your passion, right? Your will, your your need to serve your purpose, right? Um, it's passions of the heart, and it's kind of like you are getting news or information because it's a three. It's related to that Gemini energy, and it's also related to Venus. So it's talking about, you are in a place. You're holding steady in an environment, or maybe you were just kind of like minding your own business, or and something came to you. You know what I mean? So it's like, what do I do with this information that I know about the King of Wands here? Should I tell the Queen of Wands because she's off doing her business and doing, she's on her grind. But I know this thing about the King of Wands, right? Because the King of Wands and the Queen of Wands are a couple. This could be people that are getting married, or this could be, like something else happening. I mean, maybe some of you are going to a wedding and you are celebrating the union of two people that you brought together, right? Possibly, like you might be the reason why people had, got together and started dating and now they're getting married and you guys are celebrating that. And, in a dramatic sense, this could be like, you knowing something about this King of Wands character and the Queen of Wands, which either one of them could be male or female. It's kind of like not in the dark and not in denial, but it's just too busy to see or just does not know. You know what I mean? Because they're cloaked in purity. They might see this person as being, angelic or just kind of like innocent or less damaging than other people see this person being, or just kind of like their personality, right? Because the King of Wands can be a little bit overwhelming at times with his actions and what he does. And then it's also related to like sensuality in a sense, right? So that might be something that could be a challenge, right? Someone could be hot, right? They might be getting attention from other people, right? Or that type of thing. But yeah, and then the reading does get better because then it talks about you not really being concerned with the drama of others moving forward in the future. In the sun position, it's talking about the focus and you putting energy into like nurturing others, right? But also needing that back because it's almost kind of like when you provide things for other people, it's like you almost are always waiting to receive that type of gift or that type of pleasure or that type of understanding back, right? And that's kind of like something that you and Pisces also deal with is the sacrifice of putting yourself out there, right? Being open and receptive, but then not really knowing if anything's gonna come back to you. You know what I mean? It's like putting that message in a bottle. Like, I need to express these things and hopefully you'll get it and you'll understand. Let me put it in the bottle, cork it, throw it in the water. Oh, release. You know what I mean? Let me let it go. Hopefully somebody will get it and they'll understand me. That's some cancer shit right there. You know what I mean? But that bottle may never come back. You may never get that message of that person's understanding. That person may never do that thing for you that you did for them. You know what I mean? It just is like that. You can't expect people to, I mean, and we're in cancer season right now, and this is really the cancer card, okay? um, Right. So there might be some opposition between the Queen of Cups here and the Queen of Wands, right? Maybe you know who this Queen of Cups person is, or maybe you know who this Queen of Wands person is. You know what I mean? Because the King of Wands could very well, I feel like there's like a mix up in people and people's feelings about something. And, people's lives are maybe a little too intertwined, right? And it's kind of like that's what I'm talking about when I say like the drama of others. You have to sort of like pull yourself back out of the drama of others, or maybe you might be a little too intertwined in the lives of other people, and you have to take the high road. You know what I mean? Something like that. Because in the future, you have this card, which is the Nine of Pentacles, and the Nine of Pentacles is fierce. It's a debilitation. It's a fall, right? Because Venus is exalted in Pisces. So if it's in the opposite sign, then it's going to be in its fall. But the thing about this, because Venus does want to give and it does want to nurture so much for other people, right? Like we're talking about, Virgo shows Venus, the planet, look at what you need to get done. Look at what's important to you. Are you good? How are you progressively creating healthy habits, right? That you can kind of, easily, not easily, but over time, get to a place where you can look around and see that your efforts have not gone null and void. Because when you focus on other people and what they're doing, you know what I mean, and how you can provide for them, Venus, right? Those of you who have Venus in Virgo, because this is your reading. So if some of you have Venus in Virgo, or if some of you have Venus in, your sixth house, or even in the ninth house, you know what I mean? You could be trying to have provided, right, more for people at one point, but it's like you do need to focus on you moving forward in the future, and even in terms of like money and helping people out. Um, and if you're not helping people out and people aren't asking you for any type of like assistance in any way to help them get from one place to another, nines, right? You could just be really understanding the importance of you. You know what I mean? And that's what Virgo definitely teaches you as a Virgo. And I was gonna say Libra. I don't know why I was saying that. I was thinking of Venus. But sorry, my metabolism is so crazy, you guys. So I have to like let that soak in. I'm so sorry. But the Nine of Pentacles is talking about going inward to, you know, manifest things for yourself. You know, your knowledge of well-being is centered around. And if everything around you is good, but you ain't good, it ain't gonna feel good. You know what I mean? So that's why you have to detach from the drama of others. And you need to focus on your inner self, which is your moon. And that's why the sun is here in the moon position in this reading. The sun is putting focus on the emotions and on like just the evolution and the cycle. Sometimes people distract us, right? Because all these people in this reading, it feels like a distraction. Realize that you were distracted by people in the past, but you just didn't realize it at the time because you were just, being participatory in other people's lives as you are, Virgo. You know what I mean? I say that a lot. Sorry. It's funny. But yeah, but the sun is here pouring positive energy and it's crowning the Knight of Pentacles. And then at the top of the reading, what you have coming towards you is, beneficial with the Page of Pentacles, which is talking about, a phase changing for you, something coming in and ushering a change. The Pentacle is talking about something meaningful, and bringing some consideration to something that you're going to need to care for and that you're going to need to respect, okay, right, for it to mean something to you, for you to get out of. And this is really like your experience. Hey, I'm just kind of reviewing the last reading. That was the part one. I really haven't even gotten to the part two yet. But you guys need to review. And also there are messages that might come up. But I was wondering. I was just like, what the fuck are these court cards? And recently, or maybe it's and a half ago, I was just laying out random spreads sometimes for myself just to kind of like study and stuff. And I got like basically all the court cards except for like maybe I don't even know. I got like 8. It was a lot, which those are like all of the court cards. Maybe it was like 7 or something. But then I started to watch the news and there was a lot of stuff going on there. But then I started to see a lot of different people, like other dancers, people people are still showing up from nowhere, like from high school in Atlanta. I mean, it's crazy. And I'm in New York. I'm telling you, I'm sitting in Shanti like this with another reader across from me. Then I'll get to the next reading. And we're talking, do like we always do on Sundays when I'm reading there from 12 to 4, 14th Street between 2nd and 3rd Avenue. Anyway, there we were. And I'm talking to him, and I see somebody pull up with a bike, and they stop, and there's all kinds of things hanging. And I look between the glass, and I'm like, oh my God, there's someone that I went to high school with. Let me, go say hi. And I said, come in, and he came in, and, you know, we had a very special first encounter. Let me just say that. That's why he's so memorable. I do have Pluto at my first house. And Scorpio too. Anyway, so this is going to be the second part of the reading at 15 minutes and 35 seconds. Oracle of the Radiant Sun. Now, you know, I'm getting used to these cards and I love them. So, what I'm going to do, should you give Anthony another chance? Well, this is saying that you need to just kind of like detach from the drama of other people and you need to focus on you. You know what I mean? It's kind of like what you put into it is what you get out of it. But sometimes what you put into it is only draining you. You know what I mean? This is saying put the energy into yourself because this is talking about, so you remember that how I said about that message in the bottle? That message in the bottle, that message may never come back, honey. So there's a level of forgiveness too, right? You have to like surrender your expectations, right? You have to let go of your expectations. And that's the message in the bottle, right? Here I go. I'm doing this. I'm doing it. It's really spiritual, right? That's why you're across from Pisces. I'm going to throw that message in the bottle out in the water. And it's kind of like, there it is. It's gone. I don't know if I'm getting that shit back. I have to rely on my own spirit and my own intuition intuitively to guide me in knowing, security, right? In knowing that I did the right thing, right? This message is for somebody. I'm secure in knowing that I did the right thing. And if I never get anything back from doing the right thing, at least I know that I did the right thing. Okay? Spike Lee. He didn't say any of that. I'm just saying, do the right thing, the movie. Wait. I wore this for the 4th of July, you guys. Anyway, Oracle of the Radiant Sun. So, here we go. Virgo, your energy, but really it's kind of like, it's another Mercury, right? Your planet in Aries. Let me see what you're saying. Dreaming of a friend with a full face of, oh my God. I'm like, you're saying that to a Libra? Dreaming of a friend with a full face of acne, honey. I'm like, oh no, you do not, honey. I just flipped out a second ago because I couldn't find the sample. Look, I thought I saw them. No, and I didn't put them in there. The sample serums that I thought I was getting from Sephora the other day. But anyway, Oracle of the Radiant Sun. You got Mercury and Aries at the bottom of the deck, right? And Mercury is the esoteric ruler of Aries, and Aries is the first sign, and Mercury is the first representation of, a major arcana card in the tarot. And here it is the first card. It's Mercury in Aries. And this is talking about a restless planet being in a sign that is impulsive. So you feel restlessness, so therefore you might be acting impulsively, right? You got to be aware of that. Be aware of that. Really understand where you're called to, understand where you need to get involved, right? And that's what we were talking about before. Understanding where you need to get involved. You might be wanting to experience a change, or you might be wanting to see something happen, because Aries, that's kind of like an executive energy of wanting to see the changes occur right now because I said so. You know what I mean? And then it's also restlessness could also be just kind of like, recklessness as well, like the impulsiveness, right? Because when you are restless and your mind is going, you might act impulsively, which could bring about accidents, right? You know what I mean? You need to practice some kind of like grace here, right? There's some sense of poise that needs to be understood here. You need to understand all of the directions that you're going in. You know what I mean? You could be feeling like you're going in a lot of different directions right now. You actually really need to focus, because Mercury is a planet of focus. And right, Aries does rule the head, right? And we have the brain in the head. Also, like, sleep is important because, like, with Aries ruling the head and, our brain is there, that's our center, right? That's like where everything is going on. That's almost like the circuit board. You know what I mean? So sometimes that needs sleep, just like your computer, right? So some of you guys probably even need to do that. You know what I mean? It's Mercury and Aries, right? Don't be impulsive, right? If you feel like you want to get like a new computer or something like that, maybe you should wait until after like the retrograde is over. I will tell you, I got a phone during a retrograde one time, and that phone gave me so many problems. It was so fucking crazy. I would be like doing stuff, and it would just keep going crazy. Anyway, but you guys are feeling restless in regards to something that you want to see like happen or occur now, right? You just have to be patient too. but you also need to, just take a chill pill. I really feel like some of you need to just relax, right? And sometimes people say, don't tell people how to relax, but I think you do. Um, this is also like communication as well. You might be like, you know how people like anxiously text people when they want to find out more information, or are we doing this, or have you secured this for the venue, or all, all of this type of things. So it's like, it's kind of like when you're working with someone for a project and they won't stop texting you before 8 or 9 a.m. and you've already told them to. It's like that type of energy. Like, I'm anxious. I really want it to happen now. So some of you need to just relax, okay? These are the words that, are popping up from these cards: restlessness, domination, rebellion, detachment, intuition, romance, publicity, generosity, achievement, protection. Okay? Excuse me. So let's start with domination here, which is at the center of the reading, and that's Mars in Sagittarius. Mars is a planet of impulse, right? It's the planet of friction. It's a planet of tension as well, right? Tension that needs to be released. You know what I mean? And also, when Mars is kind of like the leader and the executive and wants to be first, right? And wants to see, responses to his calls to action, right, from others as well. With this Sagittarius, this is talking about a purpose. It's also talking about ideologies, right? And ideologies that lead to relentlessness in terms of wanting to see things happen, therefore forcing them, right? So then when you want to force a situation, it's almost like you begin to dominate it to show your power, right? And Mars does rule Scorpio, and it does also rule, Aries, okay? So you also have to think about that as well, which is very interesting when you have co-rulership, right? Because the co-rulership of Mars ruling Scorpio and Pisces is talking about elements of control and restraint. And then it's also talking about, not allowing yourself to get too bent out of shape too quickly, not allowing yourself to do things that you're going to resent later, like those fights that I saw in public spaces. Not that they should be happening in private either, but you know what I mean. It's kind of like sometimes you really do need to realize where you're being triggered, when you're being triggered, that you need to step back from the triggering, right, influence, and just like, breathe for a second. You know Wanting to dominate is just kind of like coming out, of an insecurity, perhaps. It could just make you want to feel stronger. You know what I mean? I'll show you what it is here, right? And Sagittarius is a very spiritual sign. So it understands dominion, and it understands where it lies and where it sits in the grand scheme of things, right? Because it understands the theories of, like, or it tries to understand the philosophies of, like, human existence and things like that. So it knows that there will always be a dominating power over you. Okay, wow, these cards are so amazing. Okay, so right, if you want to dominate something, or if someone wants to dominate you, they have to understand that they don't have dominion, because this person here underneath that's trying to dominate will pay a price, right? Because there is actually dominant energy that is above them, okay? And when people try to emulate that, which is creation, right? When people try to be, you know, de- when people think that they are worthy of having expectations that only God can have, then that's very dangerous. Anyway, domination. There is always going to be somebody bigger and stronger than you. And even, in the spiritual world, you have to understand that as well. You know what I mean? Like, You've got to realize that the powers that be are dominating over your experience. And I mean, where it is about your will, right? Because you've been manifested here to do the will of, the powers that be. Therefore, you have to kind of like not take yourself too seriously, right? You probably need to even slow down because Mars is quick acting and Sagittarius is 0 to 60. So maybe you can't, be in the authority that you feel like you deserve to be in just yet. Okay, because there's just, maybe there's something else here. I need to stop focusing on this one card because they're all going to tell a story, right? You also have to realize that you have to protect yourself from the outside world, right? Because, like I was saying, Mercury in Aries, this restlessness card, is related to protection. Moon in Aries. So, you need to really just kind of like realize where you might need more time to nurture other aspects of yourself that aren't ready to be projected or presented to other people, places, things, institution, ways of life, places to go, things to do, because you may not be ready yet. You know what I mean? Also, you have to realize that everybody isn't going to have your best interest. So if you're restless to make a connection with this Mercury here, being in Aries, right? The moon, right? The inner self is bringing some awareness, right? The sun is here in the regular tarot reading, bringing some awareness to the moon, which is the inner self, the most vulnerable part of you. And then the most vulnerable part of you really does need to be protected here because there are people like this tiger that won't have your best interest. You know what I mean? And it's kind of like even people that you like help, that you try to nurture and that you try to protect from, just kind of like the ups and downs of life. Are they going to be there when you need something like that? You know what I mean? It's kind of like you definitely have to protect yourself from those that aren't going to have your best interest. That's what I'm saying. And you need to know and be aware of how to do that. You know what I mean? Because other people will try to dominate you in different ways, small ways, big ways. You know what I mean? It's just like when people try to dominate phone conversations or when you're talking and they're talking at the same time and you know that like only one of you should be talking. You know what I mean? It's like stuff like that. People don't try to be dominating in very small ways. You know what I mean? So there are many different ways to deal with, domination and things like that. And not letting it agitate you when you can't, when you're not the say so, right? The doer and sayer, right? Or the sayer and doer. Scattered energy, of course, with this restlessness being here. But definitely protect yourself from people that are thirsty and people that are hungry. You know what I mean? Because, thirst, water, that's Cancer, that's the moon, right? And hunger, the moon, that's also Cancer and Taurus energy that talks about, appetite. And then, this tiger has an appetite here, right? For sure. My lights just flickered. But it's understanding what's out there, right? Also being safe, practice safety. Also, when you're getting out of your car at night, things like that, be safe. um, you know all sorts of things, especially because they're just weird people all over the place. I will also say another thing. Maybe you have when you're being on the defense because the tiger may not act right because it needs to let it be known. It needs to let it be known just through nonverbal actions, and that's what the moon, nonverbal Aries actions, right? You can communicate that way, right? Because like I may not say anything, but that I mean it's like intimidation, right? Nonverbal intimidation, right? You know what I mean? Whatever that is. So sometimes you do have to put on your poker face and you have to show that like don't mess with me. So it's that as well, but it's not like getting in people's faces and saying don't mess with me. You know what I mean? It's just kind of letting it be known. Okay. Um, And you may just be realizing that you might have to protect yourself in ways. I'm getting like some of you feel like you might have friends that might be stunters, right? You know how stunt people who like, just do like weird shit. I'm not gonna go any further with that. Oh, but detachment, right? You might have to detach from those friends, right? Because you have Venus here, which is talking about relationships, and then you have Aquarius, which rules the house of friendships, right? The 11th house, and that's talking about detachment, right? And like I said, these people, all these court cards over here, you might have to detach from like the friendships, right? Or you just might have to detach from the drama of others, like I said before, you know. Um, right? And above that, I'm seeing Jupiter in Leo, which is talking about publicity. So it's kind of like saying that you don't always have to be exposed to everybody all the time. You don't always have to get attention from all. Sorry. Detaching from relationships sometimes is healthy because sometimes you need to focus on yourself and understand some things about yourself that might be very important to your development as a human being. You know what I mean? And your development as a person, right? And that's why the sun is here in your moon position in the tarot part of the reading because, uh, there's vitality, there's renewed energy that's put into your spirit, right? When you gain an understanding for self, when you continue to do that in your life, and then your friends appreciate you better because there's another layer to you, there's more to you. You should want to develop, you should want to understand what it is to not have certain things, right? I mean, you know what I mean? It's like you have to understand that you can't always have everything be there all the time. You are still connected even when you are far away from people. You know what I mean? So understand different ways of maintaining connections through detachment, right? Because detachment may not mean like I'm cutting you off. It might just mean like I'm moving to a far off place or I'm moving further away. So we have to think of creative ways to stay connected. You know what I mean? Maybe FaceTime. You know what I mean? That type of thing. Um, because Venus is a very social planet, and Mercury is exalted in Aquarius. So that's talking about community. You know what I mean? Because we all have relationships with things that are far away from us. We have relationships with states that we don't live in. People have opinions about states that they visited but they haven't lived in, right? So now you are relating to that state. You have a relationship to that place, that person, place, or thing. Libra is fierce. And that's your second house, right, of earned income. So it really is talking now you probably having to understand that there's a social aspect, right? There's a level of social grace and maturity, right? Even within oneself, you have to be aware of how you can develop socially by what you do and how you act, right? Because the actions of others and the people around you, that way of life will begin to dominate, right? And then it will begin to influence you because of what you are seeing around you and what you are allowing yourself to be influenced by, what you're triggered by, because Mars is talking about being triggered as well. Um, then we have Mars in um, Aquarius here. And this is talking about rebellion. You know, Mars is inflicting, right? It's also kind of like piercing, you know? Um, and I'll show you the card. I'm saying piercing, and I'm not even looking at what the card looks like. Look. You're going to go outside these walls? Yeah, I'm not going to listen to you guys just standing here not doing anything with your lives, right? Right? All you're going to be doing is standing here. I need to get out of here. I need to not feel oppressed. I need to not feel like that and indoctrined in my way of thinking, my concepts. I need to be able to change them. I need to have my own concepts. I need to have my own understanding for like the who, what, where, when, and why. I need to be able to ask my own questions. I need to be able to celebrate my individuality, right, and my differences, right? And that's why the detachment comes sometimes to have multitude of experience, different experiences that are going to, enrich their life. And, everyone isn't really meant to have the same experiences. That's why you have to detach from other people sometimes so you can go about and be rebellious, right, from that which your friends and your group of people aren't going to do. Like it's like when that one friend goes to Tunisia, for 9 months, and you're like, oh my God, why'd you do that? And you're like, girl, if I listened to you guys, I would have never had that amazing experience. And now I know a little bit more about myself. I know a little bit more about Tunisia. And they were cool people. That's how it's like, it's amazing because you're connected to all places. It's like, that's how you stay connected to the world around you. You know what I mean? It's so weird, right? That's why Aquarius energy is so amazing. And, your ruling planet is exalted there, Maybe some of you are really connected to Aquarians, or maybe you just have a really Aquarian way of life. There's romance here in this reading too. You know what I mean? Venus and Taurus, that is really talking about marriage, right? Let me show you this one. Look at that. That's beautiful. They're like in a dance together. So I feel like some of you are experiencing the flow within a romance or within a relationship or just within a union with somebody. Unions can be somebody that you really enjoy spending time with. I can't tell you how many friends I've enjoyed spending time with that I've never even like kissed, touched, seen, none of that, right? But it was very romantic. I experienced romantic energy with people that I don't have any intimate contact with, like intimate physical contact with. Do you guys experience that? Let me know. But Taurus, this energy is very tactful, right? So somebody could be very slow, but very meaningful and quite clear in their efforts to romance you because it's Venus in Taurus and that's a ruling placement. You guys could just be thinking, you could be daydreaming, you know what I mean, about your union and how far it could possibly go because Taurus is the house of, earned income institutions, it's marriage as well, and it's kind of like those things that you also given to you just because you're here manifested on life having this experience. Like it's really amazing when people get married and they proclaim their love for each other here. It's quite amazing because like you're really it's one of those major life decisions and one of those things that you are kind of proclaiming in your life. You know what I mean? And it's like the love for another person. You're owning your love for another person. So some of you are doing that because Taurus does have to do with owning things, right? It does talk about status too. So some of you could be feeling like your status has been elevated just personally for you because you're feeling the romance in your relationship again, right? So that could be gaining your relationship that you're already in could be gaining status just because the romance is being renewed, right? Um, yeah, I really like that. Now, you at the very top of the reading in the first left-hand corner, right at the top, you have achievement, which is Sun and Capricorn, right? And that's wonderful. That's talking about building things. It's talking about getting your shit together, right? Because Sun and Capricorn, Capricorn is a cardinal sign. It's talking about leadership. It's talking about also prompting change, wanting to experience change, wanting to see change. It does also talk about being impatient, and the sun is exalted in Aries here, which you've got this card of restlessness with the Mercury in Aries, and Mercury is the esoteric ruler of Aries. And if you don't understand that, then just ignore that, but keep listening to what does make sense to you. But because these are going to connect them in that way and say that there's like some tension because you feel like you want to experience the achievement now, right? And the sun is putting focus in the awareness to the evolution of being slower than you want it to be because you do have the sun here in the moon position, right? And the moon is the planet that rules Cancer, which is opposite Capricorn, okay? And right now we have that energy going on with the Cancer North Node, Capricorn South Node, We just had the solar eclipse in Cancer. We're going to have the lunar eclipse, partial, in Capricorn on the 16th. You know what I mean? And that could just be kind of like opening things up for you, revealing some things up. And Mercury is kind of like in here, in this eclipse energy, right? Because the retrograde is happening in your, what? Let me see. In your 11th house. Yes. Of friendship. So you might even be seeing your friends change, you know what I mean, just through your evolutions in life. You know what I mean? New friends might be coming up. There might be the old friends that might still be there, but you are experiencing new friendships, which are going to be pivotal in this, in the changes that you're going to see moving towards your future. And that's why, Saturn and your karma has to work at a very slow pace, because there are things that have to be folded in to the mix rather than just kind of like dumped in and blended. You know what I mean? You have to fold things in sometimes in a very gentle, precise, very methodical way, because Capricorn is talking about methods, and it's talking about, ways of maintaining structures that are going to eventually, right, get you to the place where you feel like the work was meaningful. Okay, and that's kind of like the 10th house. The work was meaningful. This is my career. This is my profession. This is what I've done with my life. This is what I have achieved. These are, this is my estate. You know what I mean? This is what I'm worth. You know what I mean? It's like the value of achievement, right? And the value of achievement can't be bought. You know what I mean? Because it's like some people feel like, money is how that makes them feel like they've achieved something, and that's great. But sometimes it really isn't that. It's like it's the efforts that you've put into your life and making it what you want it to be. And is it successful for you? Have you done the things that you wanted to do? Are you the person that you wanted to be? Do you continue to strive for those things that you feel like you're capable of achieving that are great? You know what I mean? Or that make you feel like you're living your life to its fullest, right? Because Capricorn energy is talking about that too. Are you living your life to its fullest? Because sometimes when you think about those Capricorn cards in the tarot, it's like the devil. You know what I mean? It's Saturn, the world. And Saturn is talking about completion. It's talking about fulfillment and manifestation. Do you feel whole? Right? Because it's the most developed earth sign. It talks about feeling whole. It talks about embodying something, right? Your life is going to be, embodied. You want your life to embody those things that you feel like are your achievements, right? You're really looking at like what it is that your makeup is, like who you are, right? Saturn and Leo is talking about generosity. Leo's talking about heart. It's talking about passions. It's talking about soul, creativity. You know what I mean? And Saturn is talking about restriction as well. You know what I mean? But Saturn is very slow. Leo is kind of like it's ruled by the sun, right? And the sun is constantly giving you energy, right? Um, so, okay, it's like the appetite, right? Because Saturn is the ruler of Capricorn, which talks about I consume, right? So Saturn has to rule Capricorn, right? So that it can slow down the consumption of things, so that you don't get too, you know, full, basically. So you don't get too much, right? Because too much isn't always a good thing, right? And Leo, that energy is on, sometimes it does give too much. It's very generous energy. So Saturn could be telling you not to be so generous, right, with yourself, because Leo does talk about the self, and it talks about the sun, it talks about the spirit, it talks about the soul. Maybe your spirit and your soul is very generous, and Saturn, your karma, could be teaching you a thing or two about, your you being over generous to people, right? Getting a little bit too overzealous with your offers what you say you can do with this Leo energy. Saturn is saying you can't reach everyone. You know what I mean? Sometimes you have to let other things come to people the way that they've all their karma is sort of like making it so. You know what I mean? Because sometimes you're not meant to go in and change other people's karma because they're meant to learn a very, important lesson that is going to, you know, change their lives for them, right? It's going to sort of like put a threshold in front of them at some point, and they're going to be able to cross that, and then they can be generous to themselves through their life's experience, through their own vitality, right? Through experiencing how they can, celebrate life for themselves. You don't have to give someone a reason to be able to celebrate their life. Sometimes, but this is saying don't be too over generous, right? Virgo. Intuition, Mercury and Cancer. Well, well, well. Some things are going to definitely be revealed to you. Just feeling, You're just going to be, and it's kind of like, when Cancer just receives, right? It's like the ocean just receives. You're free to just get on a raft if you want to, and you can get out there and sail, float off, right? Um, but being that, it's kind of like during Cancer season right now, when we have the Mercury retrograde, where Mercury in Cancer is actually the Three of Cups too, when you think about it. Um, Mercury rules the third house of communication and kids as well. Some of you could be pulling in some information just intuitively that you might be um, pregnant. Using your intuition, because Mercury is kind of like intuitive, right? When you think about that Gemini glyph, it's two eyes, it's a double eye, and that's kind of relative to the High Priestess energy of the tarot, right? So they're kind of like related to each other, and they also square each other, right? So there's some tensions that might be relieved through this Mercury retrograde in Cancer, which right now it's in your 12th house, but Cancer is your 11th house of friendships, okay? And, individuality, well, that's really your first house, but individuality in terms of like who you are and how you differ from other people. You're going to be realizing that, and you're going to be kind of like using that as a way to be more creative, right? You're understanding your differences, right? Just kind of like giving people advice, right? Telling people what you might be guided to tell them. Um, Mercury is, expressing things that you know. This is a very personal card, right? Because Mercury is a very personal planet, and then I feel like Cancer is a very personal sign. So it's like you identifying with your own feelings and your own intuition, and you're kind of like using it as a way, like you're responding to it, right? Like you're picking up these downloads, and I feel like you feel like you know what to do in regards to what's coming in for you, right? So this is not really a very confusing um, energy for me in regards to this card, and I don't think that you need to worry about too much in terms of the Mercury retrograde. It's going to be going. The publicity card is here talking about wanting to put yourself out there and wanting to expose yourself because it's Jupiter in Leo. I know someone who has Jupiter in Leo. I dated them, and they always wanted to be out there and be seen and make sure other people saw them and, wow, grandeur. So some of you could be like doing things in a big way. I'm seeing a little bit of extravagance, right? Uh, you probably might even be going to a party and you might get a lot of attention in the way that you're dressed, or just your appearance might be getting a lot of attention. It could even have to do with social media. Some of you, you might be getting a lot of attention on social media, or you might get an opportunity to be creative through social media. Jupiter is in Sagittarius right now, and this is Jupiter in Leo energy. It could happen in Leo season after the Mercury retrograde in Cancer, right? Which means that things will, So once you would email me at providencesarahkendrick@gmail.com, I'll give you the information for the PayPal or Venmo, which it'll be in the description box for this video. You can even just send it, and then I'll get it, and I'll confirm with you either via that or your email that you're booked for a reading, and then I'll do your reading and send it to you via video link. So you can watch it as many times as you want to watch it, okay? I also read in New York City at 230 East 14th Street between 2nd and 3rd Avenues on Sundays from 12 to 4. And that place is called Shanti Bookshop and Crystal Gallery. It's in Union Square, East Village area. I think that's it. You can follow me on Instagram, Providence Tarot. I'm also NYC Kendrick, Kendrick NYC. And the tongue pop. Is there anything else? I think that is it. This is your part two. Hopefully there are a lot of messages in here. You know, it's all general. Sun, moon, rising. If there are any cross watchers in here, welcome. Um, Thanks for liking the video. I love you guys. Virgo.